The US Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has called Israel to hold new elections. Mr Schumer claimed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has, quote, lost his way with the bombardment of Gaza and the worsening humanitarian crisis. The highest-ranking Jewish official in the US also claimed he believed the Netanyahu coalition no longer fits the needs of Israel.
As the highest-ranking Jewish elected official in our government and as a staunch defender of Israel, I rise today to say unequivocally, this is a grave mistake for Israel, for Palestinians, for the region, and for the world.
Mr Schumer expressed support for a temporary ceasefire and a two-state solution. He stressed the need for fresh debate about the future of Israel post-October 7. On this note, let's bring in our US analyst, Michael Ware. Michael, this isn't new, these calls to give Netanyahu the flick. That many others have suggested that there's no way any kind of peace can be achieved as long as he's there. But it's still a pretty big statement from Chuck Schumer. What do you make of it?
Look, it is, I think, a very big statement. You certainly haven't heard President Joe Biden call for Netanyahu to stand down, even though President Biden has said that his government has gone over the top in this war. So when the Democratic Senate Majority Leader, a vehement Jewish American supporter of Israel himself, stands up and calls for a change in government, citing that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu no longer represents the true interests of Israel. I think that's the voice of the Biden government's angst with the leader of Israel. You know, they say that his high tolerance for civilian casualties risks making Israel an international pariah. And that's actually a plausible possibility. And they also say, as Senator Schumer said, that what many Israelis are feeling, according to the polls, is that Prime Minister Netanyahu is looking out more right now for his own political interests than he is looking out for Israel's interests. And the American policy is that the ultimate solution here is a two-state solution, an Israel and a recognized Palestine. And Benjamin Netanyahu and his right-wing government absolutely refuses to even consider that as a possibility. But as Chuck Schumer says, unless you consider a two-state solution, unless you give the Palestinians their own state, you are guaranteeing war forever.
Yeah. I just don't, you know what, I don't know, in my knowledge of the story, when it comes to a two-state solution, I mean, despite the best efforts of everyone to achieve it, I don't think in our lifetime it's going to happen, Michael. Do you?
I don't know. I mean, if you're, one is old enough to remember the Oslo Peace Accords in the 90s, we actually thought we might be inching towards it.
You got close. Yeah.
Yeah, and
no cigar though.
I've got to say, the way the ball of history bounces, this actually may lead us toward a two-state solution, because people will have just tired of all this horror. They'll want a real end to it, a substantial end of it, a forever end. Israel is now threatening its new relationships with all these Arab states that have recognized it, more who are willing to recognize it. And ultimately, it may not be in the Israeli people's interest to deny the Palestinians.
Yeah.
And what the Americans want is a demilitarized Palestinian state that sits side by side with a heavily militarized Israel, and the region and the world can simply move forward. And look, until we get to something like that,
Yeah.
This is going to be the ongoing story of both our lifetimes.
Sure will. Yeah. I hope I'm wrong on that note, by the way. Hey, Michael, just briefly, do you TikTok?
Absolutely not.
Do you reckon very soon no one in America will be TikToking? Is that actually a chance of being a reality?
No. 170 million or so, whatever users are all up in arms. The mere prospect of a forced sale. I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, if you use TikTok, you might as well just send the Chinese Communist Party your driver's license number, your passport number, your social security number, your date of birth, and where you are at any given moment. So,
and that's the same for everyone here, by the way.
Yeah, that's globally. Now, I don't do any social media for the very same reasons. I don't want to give it to Mark Zuckerberg, and I don't want to give it to Elon Musk either. But I don't consider them national security threats. They may be threats to the First Amendment or free speech or to privacy. That's a whole different argument. But they are not national security threats. So, no, I don't use TikTok. I don't let my kids near TikTok. And I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot barge pole.
Nope, I don't use it either. Michael Ware, that's why we're here. We keep our lively discussions on Sky News. Thanks for your time, as always. We'll chat to you next week. Have a great weekend.